Hello, everyone joining us tonight on this wonderful Sunday night. We are here with State of the BFC. This is season 4, and this is episode 2. I am joined by my lovely co-hosts, Wicked and Bomber. Also, we're joined by two excellent guests for this episode, Enzo and Naga. For the first segment of the show, we're going to have Wicked asking some questions to Naga, and then we're going to have Bomber asking some questions to Enzo. After that, we're going to go into a bit of some match analysis from the epic match yesterday, which went to 3 maps and was extremely close. We're going to talk a little bit about the DLC, do some Q&A with the Twitch chat, and then finally we will wrap up with some announcements. So let's go ahead right to the interview. Wicked, take it away.
All right, so I have Naga here, or Amani as he would like to be called.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, and you've been around in Battlefront 2 for a while, and you didn't start off on the new game. You were kind of holding out for a bit, I think. But what were the factors that actually made you decide to start, try out the game?
Um, well, around the time it was like on the bundle for like 2.99,
hmm
so I'd been saving up to buy a PS4, so it was like kind of coincidental that I buy it then. But I didn't know if I was actually gonna play it because I'd been talking to people like Lack, and they were telling me, oh, it's like overly casual, and like there's not
Yeah,
much to be built off of it. So I didn't want to invest in a game
yeah. It's like,
that
I
I'm not
mean,
gonna play.
yeah, it
Like,
was pretty casual, and that was something that a lot of people had a gripe about. But we're glad to
yeah.
have you here, especially playing in the new tournament. But
Oh, thank you.
since you were discussing a little bit about like how it was casual, what do you think the game could actually do to improve? What could Dice do to make it more fun or more competitive?
Well, I think for starters, they need to polish off a few of the mechanics like melee and fall damage, and really like buckle down on how they're gonna do the spawn system.
Yeah,
Because how it is now, like even with the game over, everything's random. Like pickups are random, star cards are random half the time.
hmm
Things like all these spawns are random based on killing as well. So you can't
yeah,
have a game that's gonna like supposed to be competitive, but all it's based on is random and killing. So I
yeah,
think they really need to like decide where they're gonna go with this and realize that people want to play competitive. Like, I feel like they're kind of like looking down on the audience that's like buying this game, thinking like we can't handle a game that like takes risks
hmm
and does different things with mechanics. So
yeah. And I mean, I don't think they were originally looking to make it competitive either, and that really factors into a lot of their decision making. But even then, you still want to buckle down and make things more consistent, like melees or
yeah,
pickups you get that really influence a match, even in
yeah,
competitive settings. But you have been participating in our most recent tournament, and you
yes,
have been on BA, a
yep,
team that consisted of a couple older people from Battlefront 2, like Deadman and Trooper.
yep.
How has that been for you guys? Has there been, has there been an interesting feeling between you and Trooper or Deadman being old and new?
It was kind of just like we wanted to play. Like we weren't like really coming to win. We were coming to
hmm
like play. I mean, of course, winning is fun, but it was
Yeah.
kind of just like a group of older players and I guess I'm kind of a newer player into the scene, but
hmm
we just really did it to like because I feel like we're all decent players, so we thought we'd band together and see how far we could go.
Yeah. And you guys, you didn't have the greatest record, but you guys put up a decent fight, I
Yeah.
think. And but in the couple games you played in this tournament, were there any like cool moments that you thought of, or matches you remember?
Um, I think out of like the 3 matches we did play, our best was probably against Nostalgia because we actually had our like main lineup in.
Yeah.
But I can recall like offhand on Dune C, it was the last pod and it was like by the staircase, and Nostalgia like tried to jump into like kind of like last resort, like suicide cap the pod.
hmm
So like while they were trying to take the pod, I killed 2 of them, and then Fire like jump sniped in and killed another, and then another one got flashed and like got demolished by D-Hard. So that was kind of clutch because like we like obliterated their whole team in like 3 seconds and won the game with that one pod cap.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the last minute pod caps really come in and like are really memorable for a lot of teams.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But switching more towards the communication side of your call, how has that
Mhm.
been like? Have you guys been, cool, or has it been really, buckle down and focused?
Well, I'm more of like the player that like I kind of like things being more serious,
Hmm.
but it was always kind of just like for fun. We realized like we weren't like try harding too hard. Like it was all pretty casual, even though we were still wanting to be competitive.
Yeah.
So I think some of the players like suppressing fire were usually quiet, and it was more of like me and D Hart and Trooper always like doing call outs and strategizing and like practicing, which I think kind of in the end killed us a little bit because you need like 4 solid players,
Yeah.
like who can play all the time.
So you and Deadman and Trooper really mixed really well. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and even after like we decided to split up after the tournament, we're still all cool, and I still play with him. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. But switching more towards the future of the BFC, you just
hmm
you were knocked out of this tournament, but there's more upcoming stuff. What would you really like to see in the future of the BFC?
um, I was having like a really good discussion with Jeff yesterday about like kind of reminiscing about how the community was so tight on Battlefront 2, and I kind of like to see that replicated on this game, where people actually like care about it. I know a lot of people are like still skeptical about this game and like, oh, we can't really build anything off of it, but I think
Hmm.
on paper we couldn't really like build anything off of Battlefront 2, but we did it out of like sheer will. So I think we're gonna have to do the same thing with this game, and I kind of want to see, kind of want to like have that feeling replicated because I didn't really get that much because I joined late on Battlefront 2. So I
Yeah.
think that'd be cool.
I mean, in this game's kind of the same way. I mean, it wasn't looking to be competitive, but the BFC is really trying to make a more competitive setting for it. And
Yeah,
if Dice realizes that, they might be able to help us out a little bit in the future.
yeah. Hopefully they do.
Yeah, like a spectator mode, that'd be great to have.
Cough, cough. Yeah.
Cough, cough, yeah. But we're more or less wrapping up the end of your interview. Are there anything you'd like to say to anyone or give a special thanks?
Um, I guess I'll give a quick thanks to the BFC. They kind of helped out here with the tournament just a little bit. All the staff, like Mike especially, and T Luck.
Hmm.
Um, Kratos probably did something. I don't know. I'll just thank him anyways. Wicked, of course. And I guess my new team for accepting me, RA/R. So yeah.
All right.
All right.
That's pretty much all we have for you. So I'm gonna give it over to Bomber, and he's gonna ask Enzo a couple questions.
Well, thank you,
All
Wicked.
right.
No
Alright, well,
problem.
first off, Enzo, I would like to thank you for coming onto the show. I know it's pretty late in Brazil right now. What
Yes.
what made you decide to buy this game?
So, first of all, thank you for inviting me, guys. It's really a pleasure being here. So, about the game, I'm a really big fan from Star Wars, the movies, the books. I have all things you can imagine from Star Wars. And I didn't know about the game until, let me see, October, because we had the beta in October, right? So
Uh-huh.
Konishiwa just came to me and said, "Oh, did you see that now you have the beta for Star Wars?" And I said, "Oh, really? I really love Star Wars, so let's check it out." Because I know Konishiwa since 2007, so we played a long time together, and we started playing the beta, and we started playing it competitively because you want to win all the time. And I bought the game just like 1 week earlier from the real launching date. So I knew the game just because Konishiwa talked to me about it.
Okay. You said you're a big fan of Star Wars. Did you or any of your other members play the original Battlefronts?
Just Italo. I
Italo?
didn't know about, yes, just Italo. I didn't know about the game, the Battlefront game. I knew that we have from it, we have the game on PS2, right, and on PC, the Battlefront 2, I guess. But I didn't know about it like 1 month ago. I knew it in this week because I'm really poser when it comes to Battlefront. But just Italo.
Okay. Well, for the new game, do you think that the game could be improved in any way, like competitively or, just for fun?
Yeah, a lot of things. Starting on the open lobby, if you see the balance on your team, sometimes you have like you just end the match and then the other team quit. So it's like seven on your team against two of them. So we could have some balance, get like 5v5, or 4v4 during the match automatically, like Call of Duty does. Uh, some spectator mode, of course, and some end match like Call of Duty, because every time we're screaming or we're in the tournament, we have to get out of the match and then recreate the party and all the things all over again, and it's quite hard.
Okay. When you say open match, does that mean server browser?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, server.
Okay, server browser. Yeah, I think everyone can agree that server browser would be nice in this game. Moving on to the tournament, what are some things that you're looking forward to in the BFC?
So I've heard about that we're going to have some leather, right? And it's going to be awesome because
That's not official, but we are going to try.
yeah, we're going to try to have some ladders, and it will be awesome because we only have game battles, and game battles you have all the shield stuff and things like that. And when you play with items like this, it's not competitively indeed. But I would like to see a ladder from the BFC. It will be better than game battles one.
Okay. Has there been any like special moments in this tournament that you can remember?
Uh, I will tell two moments. One is my all the support that guys are gave to us against Club Central and all over the other matches. Like it's only Soda. He sent me a private message supporting me. It was like really awesome. And then the other one is, I guess everyone who watched the stream against Club Central saw Konishiwa just jumping on the pod, the fourth pod. It was going to be the victory of Script Central, and he just captured. And then Italo is like the quieter one on our team. He doesn't speak at all. And then he started screaming, "Capture, capture, capture, capture!" And we're like, "Whoa, Italo is saying something." So okay, let's capture it. And then Konishi got that one. We got the pod. It was like 4-on-4, and then we got the last one for 5v4 on, and it was a really great moment.
Okay. You said that you've known your mate since 2007.
Yes, yes.
Where did you meet? And excuse me if I mispronounce this. Andrietto? Is because it seemed like you guys didn't have him at the start of the tournament.
Oh yes, it was a pretty interesting thing because we started with a team with 8 players, and then 4 of them just quit because I work or I study and things like that. And then we got 4 players: me, Konishiwa, Italo, and Jason. And but our team didn't have that chemistry, that good chemistry. And then we started looking for other players, and we matched Daniel. And Daniel, he works with Andriato. So Daniel said, "Oh, I have another good guy for the team, if you want." And then he presented us Andriato, and it was quite weird because his first match with us competitively was against A on the second match, Rebel Depot on our host. Because the first one against RA, Daniel played, And then the last match on goes on Badland, he's just destroyed our A in their host because we're from Brazil. It's kind of hard play with 150 ms latency, but he
Uh-huh.
destroyed them with that DH11, DH17, sorry. And Daniel has introduced him to the team, mm, and we met him this way because they work together.
Okay. When you say our host, do you think that hosting has a slight advantage? Because most people would disagree with that.
No, in Brazil we have a really bad quality of internet, so
Oh, okay.
really bad too, really really bad. So when it comes to host, we know that EA hosts all the servers, so it's like even game. But when you're in Brazil playing someone in US and you don't have a good connection here, it's way hard to play against it. So sometimes you have to change the strategy because if you see the first match that we played against SC, I was killing, and the second one I could even kill because it was their host. So I changed the strategy. I just went for pods and swapping spawns because I didn't want a single gunfight. So it's really hard to play when you're not hosting.
Okay. Um, has your team exceeded your expectations coming into the tournament?
Oh, yes, it's pretty nice being on winners final and now losers final. We didn't know that we would reach that much because beginning of the tournament, we saw that we could face Scrub Central, and we had our first competitive match against them on game battles, and we got destroyed. We were like running on the map and trying to kill them, but it's not the way. And then we just trained. We found our fourth player, that is Andreato, and we got confidence, and we played all the matches with this confidence and just reached our spot.
That's pretty good. Um, what's the voice chat in your matches like? Is it a lot of energy? Is it calm?
It's a lot of energy. Italo doesn't like to talk too much, but when he does it, when he talks, he starts screaming all of a sudden. So it's pretty hard because you get a heart attack all of a sudden. But it's like me and Andriato talking a lot. Konnichiwa talks too, but not like me and Andriato. And Italo, he just talks when he has to talk. So capture, capture, things like that.
Do you guys speak in English or your native language, Portuguese?
Uh, Portuguese.
Okay.
We speak on Portuguese.
All right. Um, have you and your mates, have you played any other game competitively with
No, we just play Star Wars. Konnichiwa, we play Call of Duty since the first one online that was the Modern Warfare competitively. But this team, this lineup is pretty recent. We don't have a month with this lineup, and I guess we can do a lot better if we like 2 months, more 2 months. We can train a lot with this lineup, and we just focus on Star Wars.
Okay. Well, I hope to see you guys in the future, and I think that's going to wrap up your interview. Are there any shoutouts you would like to give? People you want to thank?
Ah, so I want to thank all the support from the guys, thank our team, thank the admins because we got a lot of trouble against SC. I made some mistakes when updating the roster, and they helped us. So I would like to thank them. And I guess thank my girlfriend that she really supports me. She knows nothing about the game, but okay, go, sweetie, win that. But that's nice. Uh, and that's it.
All right. Well, that wraps up the Enzo interview. I'm going to throw it back to Mike.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here relates to Enzo and Wicked mostly, but everybody can talk and give their input on this. If you give Bomber like a couple seconds, I think he should be pulling up the video footage from the winners bracket finals, which happened yesterday, Jakku Warriors versus R. Basically, we're going to let the video run and talk about some of the interesting points that we see. I might ask some questions to each of the teams. So the first thing I want to do is ask Wicked because he hasn't said anything in a little bit. So you just heard Enzo's interview about his expectations for his team. Wicked, did you guys expect to get to winners bracket finals or?
Well, as I think I said a little bit last week. My team basically I decided who was going to be on RA and who was going to be on R like the day before the tournament started.
Right.
So granted, we had that first round bye, which is really beneficial for both teams.
Yep.
But like, I didn't really know how everyone's going to do. I knew that Chris and Fever had been playing for a good while, and they were really good. But I didn't even know how well would like mesh.
Hmm.
So the fact that we were able to get this far and we really work well as a team, I think is really astonishing, and it's very beneficial for us that we were able to work so well.
Right. I think that in the article that Kratos wrote, interviewing a bunch of different people, I think everyone agreed that, having RA as a second team was able to help out your team in matches. And I think that came to show itself yesterday. You guys were barely able to squeak out the win in probably the closest match of the tournament that I've seen. Um, Enzo, do you have anything? So your map pick was Rebel Depot. Did our surprise, like I thought you guys would win Rebel Depot because in the times I've played you guys on Rebel Depot, it's been impossible. You guys have dominated the pods every time. But it became very close. I thought R might have won it, but you guys were able to play in the end. How do you feel about like picking Rebel Depot, like going on? Like, do you think it was a good idea or?
Oh, so Rebel Depot is our map.
Yeah.
I'm not attracted with this map. I will be sincere with you guys. I
Mhm.
don't like this map because
I don't either.
Italo,
I don't either, to be honest.
Italo likes this map. Konnichiwa likes this map, and Andrieto likes this map. I hate this map. They don't know. They know now that I'm telling them, but I hate this map. But it was a 5-4, 5
It was
4.
5-4, yeah.
Yeah, really tough game. But we knew that we would win because it was our host. If it wasn't, we would lose.
Yeah,
I
it was
It
that
I
was
was
pretty
close.
close
yes,
anyway, brother.
yeah, it was pretty close. What happened was that we get a lot of miscommunication because there were shields on the game, and when you have shields, everything changes. You need one guy like on the side of the pod, and we were
Right.
not having this guy. And then when one of the R guy was entering the pod with this shield, everyone was looking to him. And then when everyone's looked to the shield guy,
Mhm.
the others from R killed all of us. So it
Yeah.
was really hard. It happened like a lot on all three matches, and it was like the biggest mistakes we made. The four players focusing on the shield guy, and then the other R guys come and killing us. But we know we would win just because we had the host. Because R played really well.
Right.
They knew how to enter together. It's like a perfect destroying setup when you enter with one guy with shield and the others shooting on their back, on our back.
Yeah, I think a
And
great example of that actually.
yeah,
Basically, Wicked would. I think you guys might have just saw on the stream, but Wicked would go in with Shield a lot, and I personally watched Cappy's perspective when I watched the match, and Cappy would do what you said, Enzo, like go behind you guys so that you were looking at the person with the shield, and that get distracted, and then Cappy would get the kills from shooting in the back, which was like an effective strategy, I would say, especially on this first map here on Badlands.
Are you giving away
Uh,
our strats?
well, not necessarily, but I was
yeah,
able,
it
you know,
was
watch the videos.
yes, it was our biggest mistake. Everyone focusing on the shield guy.
Yeah,
We only had one ion grenade. It was the second mistake, in my opinion, because
that's
before the
important.
match, yeah, it's really important when you play against shields. Before the match, we talked. We passed over Java Refugee. We got
Mhm.
destroyed on the map, but we tried to do some callouts and things like that. And we talked about the hands. And then uh, we concluded that we would need two ion grenades at least.
Mhm.
But then we just had one, and I didn't
Oh.
understand why. And then it makes all the difference because on the last map, the last pod that they captured when it was 20 seconds on the timer, a really nice cap. Italo was on the side of the pod against two guys with a shield, and he didn't have ion grenade, and he's the one who always have the ion grenade. So
Ah,
it
yeah.
really make a difference when you're playing against shield. We
I
did
would,
not.
yeah, I'd definitely say it's almost necessary to have ion grenade.
Yeah.
Two, one, like I'd say even four, maybe sometimes. I
Yeah.
know you
Yes.
guys do different,
Yeah.
flashbang and other creative, but um, ion grenade
Yeah.
is super important.
A lot of R actually wanted to run Ionade, and you could even see in Badlands here that it's a decent way in. It's almost a third of the way through this game, and we're still on this first pod.
Yeah,
Both sides are going back and forth, and we can't kill the other team. It's just that close to
right.
the point where more Ionades probably would be beneficial. It's just kind of hard to use them, and the personal shields are, you know, a
Yeah,
good.
it's pretty
Yes.
hard to use them. You gotta get the
Uh,
stick, pretty much.
we tried to balance some hands because we know that ion grenade is pretty important. We talked a lot after the match,
Yeah.
and Italo and Andrea was saying, "Oh, everyone needs to have ion grenade." I said, "No, you just at least two, but not everyone, because I'm really good with thermals, the
Hmm.
thermal detonator, and when you need to destroy a setup that the other team really knows how to set up, you need thermal detonators. You can't destroy the setup without it, because when you just explode someone, you can enter easily on the pod. So for us, it's like at least two ion grenades, one thermal detonator, no flash when you play against shield. Flash is not a good thing, but a pulse cannon is really good, and shields and jetpacks.
Huh. Okay, that's
Yeah.
an interesting perspective. I definitely see what you mean. Where shield and ion grenade is good on like offense and then on defense respectively. But if you want to break a setup, yeah, you probably do need a regular grenade. Uh,
Yes.
so
Yeah. So back to the game a little bit. What you guys had just saw is both pods had dropped down, and what was really going through our mentality there is that we wanted to more or less just focus on one pod, get that under control, then we can work on the other. At worst, we were looking for a trade, solely because both pods were going on for a little bit, and we didn't want to lose both, so we just wanted to buckle down on more or less one, and then we could focus on the other, especially since they were so close.
right, almost 6 minutes into the match and still just
Yeah,
1-0. Not
yeah,
very many scores.
yeah. So every pod at this point really matters when you come down to it. So we just wanted to make sure we had secured one, and then we could contest the other one, just because of how close it was. And you could even see that even with myself using ion nades, Jakku did an amazing job of getting onto the pod and just taking it back right before they died.
You're right. Yeah.
And that really extends the game in
Mm,
general to the
yes.
point where this ended at a 3-2 going to time.
Yes.
So,
The one thing that was interesting was the last pod, of course, but the interesting thing about the last pod was the spawning. We tried to get the good spawn, but in the end, the spawn changed, and we were like, "Whoa!" They changed the respawn. Now we are going to get destroyed.
yeah.
So every time I was saying, "Get the spawn again," get the spawn again, because when you play against a team that has a lot of ion grenades, your shields just go really fast. And as we don't have a lot of ion grenades, they have a lot of shields to use. So when you're in a case like this, you need to have the respawn, and we just lost the respawn on the last pod. So it was definitely the thing that made we lost the match.
Yeah, I think you were talking to about this a little bit, but you have a player trying to always block a spawn or get your team a certain spawn in a certain way, which is pretty interesting. I noticed most of the top teams try and do that. I don't know if anyone has it down to an exact science or if it's kind of random sometimes and it messes you up, but it's definitely interesting that people are trying to manipulate it like that. I think it's like good. I hope it is like, something we can learn to make it, 100% work the same way if you do a certain thing. I think that would be good for the game that you could predict where you're going to
Yeah, we
spawn.
definitely cut down on the RNG element.
I hope so, yeah.
Yes, yes. We have me and Konishua. We
Mhm.
know a lot about the response of the game.
Yeah.
It's basically two types of response: the map respawn and the
Yep.
pod respawn. And then when it's not me swapping the respawn, is Konnichiwa. But that last pod, you're nervous, you're trying to kill, you're trying to cap, and no one noticed that the respawn changed, and we don't have time to swap the respawn, so we just went for the pod and
So
lost the
like
game.
specifically, so you should have waited back by the goods respawn area, or you should have went like what should you have done that you didn't do because it was too
So
frantic?
that moment, what we would have done was we were like 80% with the pod capture, right? I guess
Yeah.
was that. Uh, we died. It was just Italo there with two guys with shield, and the respawn was just changed. So our strategies are basically just enter the pod after destroying the setup,
Hmm.
and don't be like in a hurry if the pod is not 75% to
Right.
be
I
captured.
yeah, that's a good thing too. I've noticed a lot of the good teams have patience to wait until the meter is almost full. You know, you don't need to rush in one by one and die. That's pretty bad. But everyone encroaching slowly, I do think is a good idea for sure.
Yes. So what we could have done was, okay, R captured the pod. Let's everyone get the respawn back, and getting the respawn back, we can destroy their setup.
Hmm.
But we didn't. We didn't do it. We just tried to face them in front of them when they were with a good setup, and that was a bad idea, a bad call.
Yeah. So you look at the map right here, and in the match, it's like there's like 5 minutes left, and we're at 1-1 pods. It's just back and forth between us that it was such a close and intense match. That the spawns really did play a big part. There were a couple times where we got a very long spawn, and it was almost disheartening in a way to see the spawn just almost screw us over. Uh, when especially on a map like Go was on.
Yeah. Dice, yeah. I think we would
Uh,
all like to see it either be
Gozen
more.
Gozen is a pretty interesting map about respawn because you have the two respawns back on the AT-AT and the other one on the, I guess it's X-Wing or something like that, or another AT-AT. And you have the cavern respawn that, how can I say that? The other side of the middle AT-AT, you know?
Yeah.
So you have that respawn too. So it's kind of hard when you play it to control the respawn because you need to have the majority of players on the respawn to get the respawn. And sometimes if you pass middle of the map, you change the respawn. So it's
Hmm.
hard to keep the respawn when a map has a third respawn like this one.
Yeah, and that's something that really is extremely important when it comes to this map, just because the map is pretty big, and a long spawn could be 40 or 3/4 of the time it takes to capture the pod, which only gives you really one chance as a team.
Yes.
So breaking defense is pretty important as well. That's something that we definitely needed to work on in this match here.
Yes, yes.
But I mean, myself personally, I was getting low on personal shields at about this point. I don't know how you guys were faring personal shield wise.
Yeah, really bad managed by us, the
Mm,
personal shoots, because I didn't know about Andrieto. Sometimes, not sometimes, but all of the times Andrieto helps me to cap the pod, and sometimes Konnichiwa. We divide ourselves in four roles. It's like this layer, the anchor,
mhm.
the object, and the support. I'm the object, so I jump on the pod and capture. Konishu just kills people that are around the pod. Italo is Italo, he kills everyone all the time. And Andrieto, he does
Yeah.
like some anchor and support, and he kills a lot too, what is a good thing. But a bad thing was like Italo played with shield too, but he's not used to play with top card.
Right.
Even on open lobby, he doesn't play with top card, so he's not that. He doesn't have that chemistry with the top card. He doesn't know when to use it. So
Yeah.
we wasted a lot of top cards because you had a lot of ion grenades.
Yeah.
So we had no top cards in the end of the match. And then I remembered the last moment of the game that Andreado said, "Oh, I have shield," but then it wasn't fully recharged. It was on cooldown, and he didn't notice that. And then oh shit, it's on cooldown. And then he jumped and died. But if he waited for just a second, he could kept that, but
Yeah,
he didn't
we're gonna get
notice
into
that.
that in a second here. We're on the last pod in the video now, but it was really close up to this point. This went back and forth. You had mentioned, or I had mentioned a little earlier about the spawns. The pod right before this, you guys took relatively easy just because we got the far spawn every time. I don't know if
Yes.
that was if you had managed it that way or if it was just by chance. If you want to take a minute to talk about that.
Oh yeah. The We managed to keep the respawn really hard. We always manage to keep the respawn because a thing that I always say to my teammates is, uh, if we have the respawn, we're going to be really close to the pod, and so if we die, you just need one jetpack to get to the pod. If you don't have the respawn, you need three jetpacks to get to the pod. So let's focus on the respawn
Hmm.
so you can claim it easily.
Yeah.
And we managed to get a lot of response during the game. We lost two pods just for
Mhm.
miscommunication, but the last pod we were all nervous and forgot about the respawn.
Yeah, and something that Fever, right at this point in the video, was discussing is that there was not going to be another pod dropping, and both myself and Cappy looked up at the score, and it was just 2-2. Both of us were extremely surprised by that, but just how it worked out. It, I mean, it just there was not going to be another pod dropping, which made this really intense, especially with 15 seconds left. We knew that another pod probably wouldn't happen. So you see a rush right here for Cappy and myself and
Yes.
Fever. And this, luckily, we got this with 5 seconds to keep the time going. But this is where it started really getting frantic for both of us because both we needed to hold this down, you guys needed to take it. And I'm sure this is the moment where you guys completely forgot about spawns and were just focused on getting it. I
Yes.
personally did not feel like losing this map, so I throw a lot of stuff at it, get flash. Um, but it was just really hard. I clear off that guy real quick on the pod, which I think saves it. And then there was a mention that there was one guy left. I
Yeah,
try and finish him off there real quick, and then we
there
claim
was
it.
Andreato.
Yeah, and that's what that's. It was really close. It went down to time, and it was just a 3-2, which meant every pod was closely contested, just going back and forth. I personally can't think of a harder match to play, and it was really intense all the way through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy that you killed was Andreato. That it was that time that he said, "Oh, I have shield," but it was on cooldown. So no, but that was
Oh.
okay.
Yeah, well, so we have come to the end of the video there, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. A little bit of a recap of the winners finals and get some into the two leaders from the two clans that played in it. So the next thing we were going to do is talk about the DLC. So we've had some news from DICE over the past couple days about what they're going to do for the first DLC pack. So all you guys could jump in and give your opinions about this. But basically, the first, I'll just go through like point by point, some small stuff you guys can give your reactions. So the first DLC, we're going to be able to play, I think, some maps in Jabba's Palace. So I think there's a Jabba's Throne Room map and a Skiff Garage map. I think there's two in there as far as I know. I could be wrong about that. And then we're also going to have more maps on the list. What do you guys think about returning to Jabba's palace after Battlefront 2? We're coming back to Jabba's. Is Jabba going to be in there? Is there going to be Gamorrean guards? Are they going to put the Rancor? What do you guys think?
The winners
Anybody?
first.
Wicked, what do you think?
I mean, I don't. I know for a fact it's not going to be anything like Jabba's palace from Battlefront 2. So it's going to be a completely different map in the first place.
Right.
But Java might be included. I think it had something to do with the hangar that ship that
Yeah.
Nova Dune Sea was in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of a different setting for it. I think they're gonna add the Rancor for fan service. I'm sure they would, but I don't know if they'll add Java, even if it's just like a little thing they could put in.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they'll add Java because I look around the other maps for, wildlife and stuff, and it's there, but it's not really like static. It's not like
Mhm.
just stuff standing there. Like you can
Yeah.
interact. Like in Battlefront 2, Java is literally just sitting there. I
Mhm.
just don't see them doing that in this. They might. I don't really mind either way. I'm just sort of curious as to what they're gonna do. Enzo, how do you think Java's Palace will be? Think it'll be a
So
good map?
I didn't play the Star Wars Battlefront
Right,
2,
right.
so it's kind of hard
But you've seen the
to
movie.
get some expectations. Yes, I saw the movie. I watched
Seen
the
the movie.
movie. So what I think is we need to have the Daiwanawanga, of course, and that Cantina band too. So that's not
That
the
would be
original
that would be
Cantina band.
hilarious and awesome.
Yeah,
That would be
it would be
amazing.
really nice. And the rat, it's not Rathar because Rathar is from the Force Awakens. It's the other name, the big guy that
Rancor,
look. What? Which
the
one?
Rancor.
Yes, that one that Luke just killed using that gate.
Yeah,
We need to have that
Spoilers.
one. It would be really nice because in Dune Sea Exchange we have Sarlacc, right?
hmm
So another creature like Sarlacc
Oh,
on
that's
another
true.
map
That's a
would
good
be,
point.
yeah. So it would be a good, not Easter egg, but a good thing just to
Yeah, maybe
be
maybe
like
they will
Dune
do
Sea.
the Rancor because we have the
Yeah.
Sarlacc.
Something you had mentioned, the Gamorrean guards, and
Yeah.
I guarantee you they're not going to be in
Oh yeah,
this
they're not gonna do that. It's
because
just
I mean Battlefront One, you were looking at like Tuscans in the Dune Sea map.
yeah.
Granted, in Battlefront 2, you had Gamorrean guards and I think Geonosians, but there has been
Hmm.
no sign of any like creature that you can shoot at besides the Jawas. But they're not really involved. They're just background
Right, yeah. No, I
wildlife.
I didn't think they'd actually do that. I just was throwing out, just saying that Battlefront 2 had a lot of life in Java's Palace when you had
Yeah.
AI on and stuff. I just wonder.
I mean, they wanted to cut down on the life in the new one. That's why they put it in a garage.
Oh crap. Yeah. Naga, Bomber, you guys have any thoughts on Java's Palace?
Um, well, as long as they just add the throne room, I'll be happy.
Okay.
I don't care if Jabba's in there. I don't care if a Rancor's in there. As long as it's the throne room, I'm pleased.
Okay.
Out of all the like DLC maps that have been announced, I'm probably the most hyped for this one. Because Java's Palace on Battlefront 2 was so awesome, and, like so detailed.
Yeah.
But I see all your points that like they're probably not going to involve Java and like all these other people that were in the cantina. But it
Yeah.
would be cool.
Yeah, but Battlefront 2 was 10 years ago, so obviously they're going to update it.
Of
DICE.
course, yeah. They love Battlefront 2.
Exactly.
But yeah, I definitely think there's gonna be a Rancor, but it's gonna be like a kind of like a not stagnant, but like just like there and pick you up and eat you like it did on Battlefront 2, but nothing too special.
Okay.
What I do think would be cool is if it's like there's different areas on the map, so when you go to the like where the palace room is, I mean where the throne room is, like there's people in there, but as soon as you arrive, everyone scatters. So
They
like you
could,
see
yeah, they could
like
do that, like the Jawas run under the sandcart. Like they could
yeah,
maybe do that.
I think that'd be cool. You see like Jabba like running away or crawling away or sliding away
Sliding
or
away.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then of
Uh,
course they have to have the droid torturer in there in the
Yeah.
basement.
really nice one.
If not, then I'm returning the game. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
After you bought the DLC for it?
yes.
I'm
I guess
surprised.
that,
Or go on.
so I guess a good thing would be if we had Han Solo Frost on Carbonite. Too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, of
they could
course.
put that in there maybe. I don't know what they're gonna do for Han, if he's gonna be playable on that map, or well, we'll talk about the heroes after we talk about the maps. But yeah,
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
that's a whole another thing. But
Whole another thing, yeah.
anyway, so the other we don't really know, but it just says so blast enemies in the smelting factory or along the industrial pipes and platforms of Sullust. So I don't know if that's implying 2 maps on Sullust or if this thing's going to be 4 maps or 2 maps, one big, one small for each planet, or I'm not sure. But we get to see some more Sullust. Looks from the image on the website, it looks to be more lava-y. I'd almost say more Mustafar-like
Yeah,
So
that's what
that
I
could
was
be
thinking.
interesting. Are you guys excited for that map? I'm certainly more excited for Jabba's, but this could be cool too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure because it's not in any of the movies or anything, so we don't really have any comparison points, but I think it could be an interesting map.
I personally am really not excited for any of these maps to come out.
Okay.
I don't see anything that they could do. I mean, it's a new map in the game, but
Yeah.
it's not really something am looking forward to see what they do with. Because I just personally think it's going to be minimalistic, and maybe they'll add a couple things in there that really define Jabba's or Sullust. But I don't think that there's really going to be too much going on in this map pack,
Okay.
particularly.
Not very optimistic from Wicked for DLC 1. All right. Anybody
Well,
else?
to kind of counter Wicked's point, I think if you think about it, most of these maps are minimalistic. They just add like a bunch of like junk to it, so it looks like it's busy. So I think both these new maps coming out could have a lot of content, a lot of potential, kind of like a Twilight on Hoth.
Yeah.
I feel like these could be really good maps, even though we haven't seen much of them. I'm gonna still hold out faith because I don't have a choice.
I mean,
I'm-
what I
I'm-
am looking forward to, though, I am looking forward to the Cloud City to see what they do with
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Because that was
Oh,
so
yeah.
like
That's the one I'm
it's a
looking
it's a
forward
huge
to.
map. It's like one of the most common maps in Battlefront, the first
Or
one.
Death Star. That'd
That
be
I'm
awesome.
really curious to see how they don't stick true to the classics in that, or how much they do, just to see what
Yeah.
they do with that one. But that's upcoming.
Okay.
Well, won't these be the first maps they've actually like taken from the movies?
There has not been Sullust in any movie, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
Yes.
like
As far as I'm
Jabba's,
aware.
Death Star, Bespin. I don't think any of these maps that we've had now have been like true to the movies, except for maybe like Dune Sea Exchange.
Yeah, let me think about
So-
that. Yeah, I guess so. I guess like they didn't really like model any of the maps after a set movie,
Nope.
you would think. As far as I can tell. Like there's like portions of it. So like the Sandcrawler is in 4, but you see it, but it's definitely not like near. Like you can't be like, oh, this is near Luke where Luke used to live, like etc. Like no, it's not perfectly a one-to-one thing. So maybe they'll do more movie set inspired maps for the
Yeah.
DLC. That's what it sounds like. So we'll see. But the next thing we want to go into, which is probably like the more not it might not be as big of a deal for us playing in tournaments and stuff, but it's still really interesting. So the next thing that they said when they announced the DLC on the site, on the Outer Rim page of the Battlefront website, it says, "Play as iconic heroes. New playable hero characters will have you." We'll have you shooting first with Greedo, or targeting foes with precision as Nien Nub. I
No,
can't
I
even
don't.
really say
No,
his name.
dude, I'm not sure if everyone knows who Nien Nub is.
Okay, he was Lando's co-pilot in Return of the Jedi. If you remember the attack on the second Death Star, he's the guy who's helping pilot the Millennium Falcon. He like talks to Lando briefly in cutback scenes between the battle on the surface and Lando's piloting. It's
Yes.
very, very brief, but he's in there. Anyway, as people have said, and Enzo just said before we start to, basically the Salustian and Greedo species just with different, like the same head with different clothes.
Pretty much.
So I don't know, it might seem kind of lazy to us.
They're very iconic characters.
Extremely iconic.
Now, Greedo, honestly, Greedo, I can understand.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he is, in a way, a known villain. But Nien Nub is just extremely lazy on their part. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you feel about that, Naga?
Well, I think I was talking to Mike about this when this like first leaked.
And you were like,
And
you
I was
were in
like-
doubt. You were like, there's no way they'll do
Yeah.
that. And I was like, I
well,
don't
this is
think so
just-
either,
This is
but-
silly.
They did,
They'd be that lazy.
but now
like,
they
they
did it.
put-
And what do you think?
Yeah.
Like,
They put Nien Nub and Greedo over like Chewbacca or anyone else.
right.
And like, I feel like with Heroes versus Villains, I don't know about you guys, but like I play it a lot, and I kind of prefer to play like Vader and Luke and the Emperor, because I play shooters 24/7 on this game.
Right.
So it's not really like a switch up for me, and they're also including the guns that Greedo uses, so like not getting anything fresh. With
So
this,
it probably
I feel
has a
like.
lot of recoil to it and inaccuracies, because Greedo
Yeah.
did shoot first.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
Greedo shot first.
Yeah, I don't
100%.
like that they made the joke on the site, like shooting first with Greedo. Like
That's gonna upset
it's
a
a
lot
bit
of
tongue in
people.
cheek. It's gonna
Oh,
upset some people
oh
that
yeah,
are
a
that
lot of
are
Yeah.
people will be offended by that.
yeah, like legitimately though. Like not me, but there are people on Reddit, I'm sure, that are like, wow, like why would they say that just to rub it in more that they're putting Greedo in the game, like. But I can understand Greedo too. Like so when I had like a few thoughts. So when they said they're gonna have when DLC packs were announced, they said they're gonna have 4 heroes/villains added to the game. I assumed that meant,
Hmm.
2 heroes and 2 villains. So for the
Yeah.
heroes, I was initially thinking, okay, they got Yoda. If they're sticking to 4, 5, 6, which they said, they're gonna stick to the original trilogy. They were asked on Twitter, will you do the Clone Wars or will you do Episode 7's content? And they said no to both of those things. Some people didn't believe that they wouldn't do Force Awakens. Like some people still think that like Rey or Kylo Ren might come into the game. They've denied that. I don't think they'll do that. But so anyway, assuming they stick to 4, 5, and 6, right? I thought they could draw from Chewbacca and Yoda, 2 heroes. Those are like two very important heroes that they could have done. But then I
Yeah.
also just remembered yesterday, or maybe a couple days ago, like Kratos was telling me that Jog Jeff was talking to him, and he also said to me last night they could have done Obi-Wan. Older Obi-Wan would be amazing.
Yeah.
Who
The
wasn't
Death
even in
Star.
Battlefront 2. Like that, yet another hero they could have drawn from who's more memorable, I would argue, than Lando's co-pilot. Uh, so yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just very
so
surprised by the heroes. The villains, they might need to dig deeper. I'm okay with Greedo, but I'm just not as okay with this random Salustian as much.
yeah, I mean, it was really up in the air if they should go with like an iconic hero or in the end nub, because they're all just like really up there in terms of memorable names, even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I if I was Dice, I'd have a hard decision on if I should go with those guys or Nien Nub.
Like they didn't even say that guy's name in the movie. Like, how do you even know his name other than reading the credits? I assume, right? It's just in the credits probably because
I
he
feel.
doesn't speak English in the movie, right? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
He speaks Salustian to Lando, and we don't even know what he says.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they ever say his name in the movie.
So
So
But yeah, what I was gonna say is I feel like even with Greedo, I don't think he was in like 20 seconds in the movie. So I would
yeah,
have rather seen like Boss, who we've seen in like the Clone Wars series and in the movies more. And we have his gun here. I feel like he'd have been a lot like more um I guess memorable, yeah, like sticking with this kind of like bounty hunter feel
no,
like
but
we've
you
gotten from
see,
Boba Fett since he's got rich now. I was
but you
remember that
see, they
Boss
didn't
and
have Bosk's
Greedo.
head already in the game, and
Oh
that's the big
yeah.
deciding factor.
Uh, so I want to get into that too with the guns, but the last thing I want to talk about for the heroes on the images. So it looks like Greedo's got like a really small pistol, probably what he used in the movie. I don't know if
Yeah.
that will be the D12 blaster pistol. So they talk about the D12 being added and the Relby V10. So I don't know if this is Greedo in this image on the site using that new D12 pistol, maybe. And then Nien looks like he's kind of holding. It looks like the pulse cannon, like the way the barrel is, but I suppose it could also be this Relby V10 rifle. I'm not sure though. Um, so
Yeah, we've never
maybe,
seen him use a gun.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
I'm
they'll
pretty
do
sure
it like
that's
that.
Greedo's actual pistol, though.
Right.
Pretty sure I've seen that. But I
Yeah,
have no
Uh,
I'm
clue
really
about
looking
Nien.
forward to have new weapons on the game.
Yeah.
But
yes.
my opinion
So
about some heroes and villains is that the game is based on the original trilogy, right?
hmm
And as we talked about, they're going just to launch things about the original trilogy. But we will have Rogue One that is based on the original trilogy with new violence. So I guess we can have something about this new movie.
maybe I know DLC 4, you're right. They haven't announced what DLC 4 will be. And maybe you're right because they never denied that yet. So you could be right about
Yes.
that, Enzo. They could take a villain from that movie and use it in DLC 4, which I think comes out around the same time as that movie comes out. I think it's at the end of this year, right? So I think that could line up. That's a good idea, actually.
Uh,
Yes.
so next segment, Michael.
Well, I just wanted to talk. So briefly about the Relby and the D12, and there's some other stuff in here too. So arm yourself with the new Relby V10 rifle, who we think is Bosk's gun, right? Is that correct, Naga?
Yeah.
Or okay. And he was in the TV shows, which I did not watch, so I wouldn't be as familiar. But and the D12 blaster, which we think is Greedo's pistol, and collect and equip the scatter gun, Noxus grenade, and adrenaline stim pack star cards. So it sounds like maybe a shotgun or some sort of scatter gun type item on an R1 L1 card, along with a Deoxys grenade. Bomber, tell us what that grenade you think it'll do.
Well, essentially, it's going to be a tear gas grenade, and I honestly think it might change the meta of this game competitively.
And you know that because in episode 1, right?
Yeah.
When they gas the room. So it's interesting that they'll take like tiny things from like from 1, 2, and 3, like the Droideka shield and like a chemical that they mentioned in episode 1. But they don't take the big things that they could have done, but they elected not to do. So yeah, it could be a tear gas grenade. That could be super interesting if it like damages people time or whatever. And then the last thing was the adrenaline stim star cards. Maybe you run faster. It sounds like a middle star card. I'm not really sure, like a top middle star card. I don't really know.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Could change the meta.
There's
maybe.
a lot of speculation on it. We don't really know any of the details on it yet, so it's just really more speculation on what it could be than anything.
Yeah, well, I'm okay if you guys wanted to, like, throw in your speculation, throw it out there. That's okay.
I mean, I think the tear gas nade, it says it's going to do damage, so that seems kind of OP.
Okay.
I think it might change drop zone a lot with capturing pods.
What I think the stim, like the adrenaline thing will be, I think it'll probably be like, definitely be a triangle card, but it'll probably like allow you to like take more damage. So kind of like buff you up a little bit, maybe make you run faster. And then the scatter gun, I think that's actually from like Knights of the Old Republic, because I looked it up the other day, and it's supposed to be like a slug thrower, like the cycler rifle is. So it might help to counter the personal shield.
Okay, so like not a shotgun, but like something that is a projectile, not a laser, so it would go through the shields. That's interesting.
I think it's like yeah, I think it's kind of like a shotgun with like more of a spread aspect of a shotgun.
Okay. And then the last two quick things here, I want to move on from this, but basically the level cap is going from 50 to 60. I don't know if they'll throw all of these unlocks in the 50 to 60 range. Maybe they'll do that. Maybe you'll just get them when you buy the DLC. Maybe everyone will get them. We don't know. And then the last thing is they're adding a new mode called Extraction. And it says Rebel forces have encountered some of the most dangerous places in the Outer Rim. In order to extract a valuable shipment of resources, now they must bring the shipment to their transport ship before time runs out. The Empire has arrived to stop them from reaching the extraction point. So sounds like similar to me as like the opposite of Turning Point, where rebels are always on offense and Empire's always on defense. Now maybe the rebels are defending a package that they have to remove from a location. I don't know if this will be like moving a bomb along in Team Fortress or something, or getting something to move. It definitely sounds like you're going to be moving with the objective. Well, I don't know how they'll do it. I don't know if it'll be a big mode or a small mode.
It sounds similar to hostage extraction, if anything.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just saying, like, comparing within battle.
Yeah.
It'd be like Turning Point. But yeah, comparing to like any other game, yeah, it sounds like, remove a hostage or like escort, VIP, stuff like that. So that could be an interesting mode. We'll have to see how it plays out, but that was the last two things for the DLC. Anyway, so the next segment we wanted to do, so everyone in the chat right now, we are live on Twitch, so anyone in our Twitch chat, if you guys would like to throw up some questions, we will read them out and then answer them. So anybody out there, feel free to type out your opinions, troll me, put Frank or Z's in the chat, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. I did out, or one of us will read it out, and we'll give you an answer. Okay, we have a question in here. We have, it says, many teams have been mutually decided to either not use triangle cards at all or opt to have some triangle cards removed. Do you guys think no triangle cards? Do you guys think no triangle cards have been banned by some clans and matches? Do you think triangle cards will be the default? So basically, this question is: do you think triangle cards will be banned in the future or not banned in the future?
Well, I think it's pretty safe to say they will be banned in future
Very good
competition.
question.
Yeah, it seems like they'll be banned.
Yeah, I'll say from the majority of teams that I've seen, most of the teams enjoy having them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless Dice did some changes to Personal Shield or something like that, maybe. But for now, I think most teams prefer them off. We have another question in here from Sniper. He would like to know, for an Oreo, which part do you like the most? Do you like the middle or do you like the outside cookie part? I personally like the cracker, the outside part. Sniper, go.
I'm a very cream guy myself.
All right, Wicked likes the middle.
I'm gonna go with the cookie.
Racist.
Wow.
I have a comment here from someone who recommended that the playable heroes becomes Porkins, an Ewok, and C-3PO. I don't know how we feel about those characters.
Well, that's slightly better than the mock-up image Bomber sent me, which had a mouse droid as one of the. So that's better than that. I'll say that.
Don't forget the anteater.
Oh yeah, I forgot that guy too.
There you go.
Jeff has asked me Frank or Z or Ralph or Z. Frank or Z all the way, Jeff. Let's see. Okay, here's a good one for Enzo. Enzo, Kratos asks, does the majority of people in Jakku Warriors use first-person view or third-person view when they play?
So we use third-person view, but when it's for fun, we use first-person. I don't know why, but we won all the gunfights when first-person, but during the competitive matches, we use third-person.
Okay.
Sniper asked what we thin of the melee system. I don't know how you guys thin about it, but
We can excuse Sniper's typo. I'll say that I think it's not very good, and I think Dice either needs to come out and say what the stipulation, like, oh, you need to be this close to them or something, like, because we've tested it. Everyone has tested the melee, and nobody can figure it out. If anyone out there can figure that out, let me know. I would love to hear from you.
yeah. Also, Andretto asked how we feel about the bugs in the game being disconnections, partner spawn issues, or whatever.
I really dislike them. I dislike anything in the game that puts randomness in. I don't like having disconnects. I really don't like the partner spawn being seemingly inconsistent. As I said with the melee, I just wish Dice would tell us, this is the stipulation. This is how close you have to be to someone. This is how much health they have to have, and that's how you can partner spawn. The less
quickly
random.
quickly go back to the melee one. I think they should just keep it at 2 hits, but patch it so it's consistent. So no matter where you get hit, it's 2 hits. Kill. I don't think they should
I'd
go
be
to
okay
1
with
hit
that.
like on
As long as
COD.
it was consistent. Yeah, I'd be okay. As long as it was consistent.
Klaus was wondering who we think is going to win the losers bracket.
That's a tough one, actually.
I have to say my team to be partial to my team because I have to.
How do you feel about that, Bomber?
What, LSJ going through, or?
Yeah, LSJ going through.
Bomber doesn't think we can do it, but I have all the faith in the world.
I'm a vote for either Jakku Warriors or SC, honestly.
Ooh.
They could have a pretty good rematch. That would be epic, for sure.
Yes, that would be epic.
all day.
Kratos asked for a Bible thump in the chat for Delta being knocked out of the tournament.
Yeah, everyone, you can throw your Bible thumbs up for Delta.
Sniper asked if we're using the Java gun or E11.
E11, for sure. Java guns
You don't
are
like a
relevant.
Java gun?
Situational question right there, depending.
It's not situational. You have to use one or the other.
I'd use the E11 then.
Java?
If I had to use it all the time, I'd use the E11.
Frostful question is interesting.
I really don't know how I feel about the DLC update where it's an insta kill if you land on someone's head. I actually did that today, and he didn't die. So I don't know when that DLC is coming out, but I seem to be an expert at that.
Okay, Delta's asking for updates on Jog versus LSJ and West Coast versus DCuz. LSJ and Jog are supposed to play on Wednesday, I think it is. And West Coast versus DCuz could happen any day. I think it was supposed to happen yesterday. I'll have to check my PS4 messages, but I think that's happening very soon.
Yeah, Sniper's swearing by that job again, though. So
Well, he
I'll
always
prob-
does that.
yeah, I'll probably have to talk to him about that. It's not going to work in our next match, I'm sure.
I mean, I think it's solid in certain situations, but I wouldn't use it on every map. He knows that too. He knows it's not an every map gun.
I don't know about that. You haven't heard our chat.
Well, he's trying to convince you to let him use it or to like, buy into it, pretty much. So you know.
Nice question, Klaus.
Yeah, okay. Klaus asks, who's the MVP of the tournament so far? Who do you guys think is the MVP?
I mean,
Harder
if
when
you,
there's like 20 teams.
Are we?
I mean, if you look at the stats, you can see that points per minute goes, or points per match goes to Logic. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's pretty good.
he's up there.
I think I think Italu's really good, so I'm gonna say Italu so far. But then again, they R was able to come out victorious. But I'm just saying, like for an MVP, an individualistic standpoint, I think Italu's really good.
Yeah, Cappy said no one. It's probably the best answer I've seen.
Yeah, Italu is
I'm
a
gonna agree
beast. He
with-
doesn't
with
even
it.
aim.
Yeah, it's like you're dead. You don't even
He plays without aiming. Like you're 1 kilometer away from him, and no, I'm not gonna aim, and I'm going to headshot you. So what the fuck, man?
I
It's
think
really weird.
I think Chris Eska is the most overall best player, so I'm gonna vote him.
Another good player for sure. Delta's saying Rama in the chat. Another good player I've seen and played against.
Yeah.
Sniper's saying Andretto.
He's also saying that stats don't mean anything, which I don't know, man.
I think this game is dictated by killing.
Stats determine everything. I'm sure of it. That's what the internet told me.
All right, we're gonna take one more question. Let's take one more good question. Jeff's asking a trolley question, which I don't really want to ask because no one's gonna get it.
So I have a question.
We could take it from you.
Okay, why the grand finals are not a best of 5?
So basically the way it works is it's a double elimination tournament. So the way we would do it is you'd have two. So do you think it should be 2 best of 5s, Enzo? Like the losers bracket would have to win a best of 5 and then win another one to win, or?
So in my opinion, you can have 2 best of 3s
Mm-hmm.
or 1 best of 5, and
Okay.
the winner of the winners final comes with 1-0 on the score.
Okay, well, that makes sense. The only reason why I wouldn't change it now is because I already wrote the rules, and
Yes.
yeah, but it would be 2 best of 3s as of right now. But what I will say is, if the two teams that make it to, the grand finals agree to like, okay, we want to do 1 best of 5 rather than 2 best of 3s. If you guys agree to settle the match based on that, you can do that if you'd like to.
Oh, nice.
It would be an agreement from both teams, but if
So-
not, 2 best of 3s.
So now it's 2 best of 3s, and
Right.
the winners final comes with 1-0 on the first best of 3.
Yes, exactly. Because they needed to lose twice. The winners need to lose. Winners bracket finals need to lose twice to lose overall because it's double elimination.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Like an extra life.
yeah.
Really good, really good.
All right, so that was a good ending question. I'm going to close this off here with some minor announcements. Basically, things that are coming up. We have the PC tournament signups are open, so if you know anyone that has the game on PC, we've found someone to help us run a tournament for PC. It's basically, they've asked us to do a very similar tournament to what we did on PS4, Drop Zone, basically the same exact rules, so that's what it's roughly going to be. So if anyone would like to play in the PC tournament, signups are open. I believe last I checked, we had 6, that was yesterday, signed up already, and that was only 1 day worth of signups. So I don't know how many teams we
I
have.
think we're up to 9 right now.
9. Okay, 9 teams signed up right now. Feel free to sign up. I will be advertising us around on various places so that people can be aware that we're now running a PC tournament. Let me think. The other thing, so the PS4 tournament. So of course, after we are done with our current tournament on PS4, we'll have a little bit of a time between where we have to have signups, and then we'll be running another one. That should be fairly obvious. So now everyone knows there will definitely be another tournament. Another couple things to. So I'd like to thank Wicked for providing his stream footage for that one segment of the show. I'd also like to thank Oscar for producing our intro music to this show, and Lack for commissioning that piece approximately a year ago. So if you heard some excellent violin music as our opening, that's where it came from, courtesy of Oscar for LSJ. And yeah, I think that's it. I'd like to thank Enzo and Naga for coming on today. I think it was a good show. We got some great opinions out of you guys, and good luck in everyone's next endeavors.
Nice, thank you.
And thank you, of course, to Wicked and Bomber for being great co-hosts as always. And we will see you next week, Sunday, 9 p.m. Be there.